Hello and welcome to this video. I thought I'd do something different. Technology has changed quite rapidly and is forever changing, and I'm basically going to be talking about video production at a very basic to kind of mid-range level. Now, I don't know whether you notice and have watched videos from people where the audio is just awful. The camera is fine, but the person is standing too far away from the phone. I'm going to be focusing on getting really good audio from a phone. This is a Samsung S6. And a lot of people now are used to doing selfie videos and vlogging and all of these other things, using technology. Videoing 20 years ago was almost an unheard of thing for your average person because it was just too expensive, quality wasn't really very good, and it required an awful lot of time and energy and such like. Nowadays, of course, we have got things like this sort of technology, mobile technology. We've got small cameras which produce outstanding video, but what lets a lot of these things down, what lets a lot of people's videos down, is the audio quality. Now I've seen business people using a webcam on a laptop or a tablet in selfie mode, to produce business level, or to try and produce video content for a business level thing. And while the video is quite forgiving, people don't very often look at, unless it's really, really bad, people don't usually look at a video, the picture of something and think, oh my goodness, I'm not going to watch that because the video quality is awful. It's nearly always the audio. Audio is king. It really is. It's the one thing that a lot of people don't really realise is actually very key to producing good multimedia or media content for their websites, YouTube videos and Facebook, and etc, etc. While it's all very good using this kind of technology, the recording quality of this is a Samsung S6 and all the subsequent cameras, there isn't really a bad camera out there anymore. But what lets a lot of video down is the audio production. And what I hope to do in this video is to go through the basics. We really are talking basics. We're talking basics as in, all you've got is a phone, but this is limiting in its range and capability with regard to audio. Okay, video quality usually not a problem at all, but the audio is what really lets it down. So that's really what this video is about. I hope you find it useful, and it doesn't cost an arm and a leg. And what I hope to do is to also touch on things that you may not know are available that can make your video production so much more. It doesn't really matter whether you're doing small product videos to presenting videos. You can actually produce really good quality stuff by just recording better audio. If you are still using a webcam on a 10-year-old laptop, this could also be useful for you, because you may or may not realize that the smartphone that you've got pretty much far outweighs and exceeds even the quality from a quality compact camera nowadays. But what it doesn't have is good audio capability. And hopefully I'm going to show some close-ups of some little gizmos and ideas that may improve your video production. So I'm not going to get into too much equipment in this video, but I'm going to assume that most people have actually got a smartphone. Now, as I mentioned, a smartphone is very, very good kind of multimedia tool, and for recording video. What it's not really that good at over distance is recording audio. Now, most people are used to using the camera on the front of the phone, and most cameras you've usually got, most phones rather, have usually got a camera on the back as well. What tends to happen is the camera on the front is usually of lower quality, lower resolution than the camera that's on the back. The back camera, the rear camera, is actually the best camera. The microphones tend to be down the bottom here, and obviously up the top somewhere in there. I mean, this stuff is so small nowadays, there's going to be the audio. The mistake that I see an awful lot of people making is that they use the front-facing camera to produce their videos. Now that's fine, as long as people realize that the quality is just not really as good. You know, I mean, it really isn't as good. In fact, I would go so far to say is that it's half as good as the video camera or the camera that's on the back of a phone. And the other issue I find a lot of people make with videos is that they use the phone in the upright position, which of course is, you know, the most natural thing to do, but of course most video is actually widescreen. So it's just habit forming a lot of the time when people do videos to just remember to turn the video that way. You can get a lot more information in, it's a lot more friendly. And I know, you know, there are a lot of people around, you see them, especially if you're uploading these things to YouTube, I'm going to assume that you're looking for the best quality that you can possibly get. You know, if you're just doing selfie shots and such like, you know, with short videos, and you know, you notice that people put the camera this way round instead of that way around the phone. And of course, even better still would be to actually turn the phone over. You're not going to see a picture of yourself, but at least you're going to use the camera on the back, which is of much superior and better quality than the camera that's on the front of the phone. Another thing to bear in mind, actually, if you're going to use your phone, is to make sure that your camera, or, you know, even if you don't know where the camera is, it's usually a little tiny hole here. At least you know, just make sure it's clean. And the same with the camera on the back, you know, just make sure that it's actually clean. A little piece of tissue or a very soft cloth, lens cloth or such like, will make a huge difference to the quality of your video. And if you've got a screen protector like I have on here, and it's cracked across your camera on the front then or the back, it's going to degrade the quality quite a bit. But okay, so if you're using a tablet, it's much the same thing. The microphone and such like is usually on the front here. The camera is very often on the front, and then there's also a camera on the back. It's exactly the same scenario as the phone. The camera on the back is much superior quality, better quality all round. Just make sure that it's actually you know, clean. And I mean, the camera, the video quality of tablets. This is an old tablet. This tablet's possibly getting on for about 6 years old now. It's a Samsung Pro, 10-inch Pro. Still works, it's still good quality, still very fast. You know, no complaints with it at all. Nothing wrong with using this technology for recording video. But as I say, the audio is what really lets it down, and that's really what I'm going to touch on. And then what I'm going to be calling my mid-range, unless you can afford to spend hundreds, if not thousands of pounds on a DSLR type or a mirrorless camera, this kind of camera, which is like what I call a compact camera, this kind of camera produces excellent video. You know, you've got a lot more functionality on there. You've got, you know, video modes on these kind of cameras, and if you get a really posh one, you've also got an audio input. You know, this one particularly doesn't have that, but you know, I'm going to be demonstrating ways around. So the microphones are actually on the top here. But you know, the quality of the video out of this is excellent, and you can also then get cameras that have a flip up screen or a fold out type screen that allows you to actually kind of look at yourself and frame the shot while you're actually video recording as well, which is quite good. And I mean, there's just almost an endless amount of different options at this kind of level. You know, you want to talk about DSLRs and mirrorless, then you're talking a whole different ball game and a different level of quality. But Anyway, so let's see what we can do with regard to the phones. So assuming that you're starting off with a phone, okay, let's take this out of the equation. So you haven't even got that. All you've got is just a mobile phone or a smartphone. How can you improve the audio? Well, there's several things you can do without even buying any more equipment, really. There are ways that you can make sure that the angle of the microphone is aimed towards you. Speaking slowly and clearly is quite key. Make sure that there's no ambient noise around, you know, like the washing machine's going, or that you're sitting right next to a noisy window with a road and kids screaming outside, or, you know, something like that, and dog barking in the background. I mean, all of those things add up to the audio being actually quite bad. The location of your recording as well can sometimes make a difference. You know, if you can record in a relatively quiet, small space without any echo, that can improve the audio as well. So with very little money, you can start to improve this setup, as it were. Now, I'm going to assume that you're, you know, videoing yourself, or you're videoing something else. Typically, if you're interested in recording audio, if you're videoing yourself, or you're videoing something that you're doing on a table like this, you know, you may want to sort of angle the camera down, remembering, of course, that you're not going to be looking at the screen. Try to get out of the habit of looking at the screen, because this camera on the front is not particularly good. So if you're videoing yourself, get used to where the camera is when you're using the camera on the rear. So do some tests, you know, get the right angle, get the right height of the phone, you know, get it the right distance away from you. I mean, generally speaking, 3 to 4 feet away, this microphone is not too bad. Anything beyond that, it starts degrading quite rapidly. Unless the noise is quite loud. So there are simple little things that you can do immediately to start improving the audio. If you do an awful lot of audio where you're videoing something on a table like this, for instance, and you want to actually record video, one of the things that you can do is get a microphone specifically. Now, the microphone that comes with the headphones on your phone are typically not very good, because it's for voice, as in, you know, voice messaging and talking to someone, you know, over the phone, not necessarily doing video. So it can sound a bit tinny, you know, if you use the little the headset that came with your phone. So what you can do is you can buy what they call a lavalier mic, or a lapel mic, something along these lines. You know, you can spend as little as £1 to £5, or to something like this, which costs 20 something pounds. The quality is going to be a lot better. And you will get things like these little sponges over the top of the microphone, which actually help to get rid of things like wind noise and such like. So, you know, how does this work? Well, phones are got a little bit of a funny connector on them. They've got a four-way, what they call a four-way connector, typically in simplistic terms, which is geared up for the headset that comes with your phone, typically. So it allows you to speak. It's got a microphone, obviously, and stereo headphones. But what you can do is you can purchase a little gizmo like this, and usually one of these only costs about £1, £1.50. Basically, what this is it's got the four-way connector thing, sort of special connector that goes into your phone, and it splits it into headphone and microphone. And you've got like two little holes, sockets here, which allow you then to not only plug in a pair of any headphones, basically, with a connector on it, and a proper microphone. So what you would do is you would plug this into your phone. your phone recognizes the fact that you've now split the connecting. You've now got a, it very often comes up with something along the lines of, using external microphone. It's quite clever. And then, of course, what you can do is you can then use a microphone like this, plug that into the microphone jack, plug this to your lapel, and you will immediately, and using the camera that's on the back of here, you've got a actually really quite powerful tool now, because you clip this onto your shirt or your blouse or whatever, tie, and you start talking into this while you're recording on here, and the clarity is going to be second to none. Believe me, just that alone will improve your audio a vast amount. Now, the other thing is, you might think, well, actually, I want a video that's going to be 3 or 4 meters away from me. Well, what you can do then is that you can actually get an extension cable that goes in between these two here, and you can buy these in pretty much any hardware store, electrical store. Most supermarkets even seem to have them in now, and it's just called a stereo extension lead, and it's got a plug one end and a socket the other end, and you can get those up to sort of 3 to 4 meters long. You just plug that in, boom, and then you can move your camera really quite far away from you, or further away from you, and then you've got your lapel mic that way. You may even get somebody else to hold this camera for you while you're videoing. It just vastly improves the quality of your videos. So this is probably the simplest solution at the moment. I mean, I carry around an extension. Here's a stereo extension lead. I carry one around with me, which is actually quite handy. So this is probably the simplest solution, with a lavalier mic, and another microphone that you can actually plug in. You can buy little external microphones like this one here. This is a Sony. This is quite an old one, but again, because the microphone is exceptional quality, plugging it into this little gizmo here and then plugging it into your phone, the difference in quality is just amazing, because the quality of the microphone is so much better. That's another option as well. So this little gizmo here, as I say, costs kind of £1.50. You've got then options of each of these, sort of up to about a lavalier mic. The cheapest lavalier mic I ever bought was, I think, £1 off of Amazon, and it worked perfectly. It wasn't the best quality sounding, but it worked perfectly okay. You get what you pay for. You spend 20, 30, 40, 50 pound on a lavalier microphone, you're just going to get increasingly better and better audio. So this is really the simplest option that I can think of for using a mobile phone technology. Right, so the next step really then is kind of moving up another level. So the first step we had was just like a basic. You start off with mobile phone, and you may go up to using a lavalier or an external microphone using this little gizmo here. Okay, so now let's say that you enjoy the audio and you want to start going up another level. So the next level would actually be to start looking into getting an external microphone, an external recorder, digital recorder. So at the moment we were sticking with the video and the audio being recorded on one device, and bear with me while I explain the differences. So your phone has basically got an audio track in it, built on the video, and so you get one file with the audio built into it, and that's absolutely fine. That's not a problem. It serves most people's requirements very well. If you can improve your microphone technology, into your phone, then you're going to start getting better audio. And what tends to happen is that once you start appreciating, and people really start appreciating your videos, you want to move to the next level. And like a lot of things, you can throw money at a lot of these things, and it's almost endless. But you don't have to spend vast amounts of money. So the same would apply with this camera here. Now the video quality is obviously better than this, and sometimes I would say even the newer phones, this is pretty much the same, but because this has got a bigger sensor in it, it's got better microphones and such like, you will get better video quality out of these cameras. And some of them, I mean, this is a Panasonic, some of the Canon, some of the Nikon cameras, Fuji and such like, I mean, the quality is just outstanding. And you can sometimes get sockets on these. This particular camera doesn't have that ability, but you can actually get some of these cameras now that will allow you to plug in a microphone like this directly in to your camera. So it will have a stereo socket going in, boom, and you can put a whole range of microphones into the camera. So that's kind of the next step. Going beyond that, the next thing really is to go for an audio recorder, a separate quality audio recorder. Now this is a Zoom H1N recorder. I use various different types of higher quality recorders even, but a recorder like this will probably, in 2019, will probably cost you anywhere between £80 and £100 depending on where you're getting it from. I have seen these second-hand going for sort of £50 to £60, and the quality out of these, I mean, this audio recorder is very light, very small. It's got very good stereo microphones built into it already, and you can then use this device to start recording exceptional audio. Now, when you start using a recorder like this and you start breaking the audio and video apart, so what we now have to think of terms of is that we've now got two different types of files. We've got a video file from our phone or our digital camera that has an audio track in there, but now we've got a separate audio. Okay, so how do you get the two of those to marry? And now we start going into more realms of advanced editing features on a computer, or you can actually get these now for your phones as well, but on even on your tablet technology. So what you're doing now is you've stepped up the audio quality by the nth degree. Let's just say your audio quality now has increased tenfold. Yeah, because you're now using a quality audio recorder. How are you going to get this to marry up? Because basically what you're going to do is record on here, you're going to press the record button on there, and then you're going to record your video. How do you get the two of those things together? Well, you're then moving into a realm of a video editing suite of some sort, and it will have multiple tracks on it. And it will allow you to bring in the video from your phone, bring in the audio track from your digital recorder, and using a thing called a signature mark. Now, a signature mark is something that you do, and I do, at the beginning of every video. So I will basically just say, this video is about X, and I will clap my hands together. And that is the signature mark. That's the audio track signature mark. And that is the peak sound that will happen both on your camera and the recorder, that allows you to marry up the audio exactly right with your video, and so it sounds like the audio track that you've just recorded is part of your video. So that's how that works in very simplistic terms. It sounds a little bit complicated. Once you've done it a few times, it's actually really, really easy to do. And the same would apply with a camera like this. If you start using these two things together, you've got a very powerful combination. So, you know, again, it's just what I call habit forming. You get into a routine of doing it. It's difficult at first, yes, I would agree. It's confusing and all of those other things, but once you've done it a few times, it just becomes second nature, and you will then continue to just keep getting exceptional audio. Now, you can just use these recorders on their own. I mean, this is an outstanding little recorder. Highly recommend it. There are other brands out there with a similar size. They're all good. I mean, I haven't come across any bad equipment, to be honest, anymore. It's not like 20 years ago where there were vast differences between brands and models. And so, you know, to get good audio now doesn't cost a huge amount of money. You will use this a lot. This particular model is very simple to use, you know. I mean, it's just literally switch on and press a button half the time, and then you can, you know, adjust the audio volume, you know, on this little dial here. And what you would do is just point the microphone head, you know, the top of this here towards you. This is a very sensitive device, very susceptible actually to wind noise. So if you take this outside, or you're out in your garden or whatever, and there's, you know, literally a breath of wind or a fly even comes across this, it will sound like a hurricane. So how do you get around that problem? You put one of these little things on. It's a wind jammer or a dead cat or a, you know, it basically stops. So this goes over the top of the microphone. You put your microphone, you put this over the top of your microphone like this, and it looks a little bit like it's got a woolly hat on, and it has. Of course, it doesn't want to go on very easily, does it? Because I'm doing a video. But anyway, you put that over the top like this, and then you've got something that will stop the wind noise happening. Or if you've got the microphone a little bit too close to you, or you happen to be moving around, you know, with the camera, then it stops the kind of really loud, thundery wind noise that's happening. So that's in effect stepped up the quality of your video again. Now, what you can do is, and this is what I tend to do quite often, especially if I'm out and about walking around, what I will do is I can plug my lavalier mic into this device. So there's an input and an output on here, and I can plug this directly into this recorder using, if you've got a quality lavalier mic, which again cuts down the amount of ambient noise and gets clarity on your audio. And again, this, because it's so light, you stick this, you hit record, put it in your pocket, and away you go. You know, you do much the same thing. You do your clapping signature, and you've then got, you know, exceptional audio using a microphone. So this device here can be used for multiple things, really. It can be used in conjunction with your phone, this camera on its own, or with a lavalier mic. Or with any other microphone for that matter, if you have a different microphone. Something else to bring in, so, you know, what we're doing here is we're constantly, if you like, upgrading and improving the audio quality all the time with our devices. So this is an excellent solution. Another solution would be to get a microphone, you know, invest more money in a microphone, something along the lines of this. Now, this is a Rode stereo video mic, it's called. I mean, there's lots of different microphones around. I mean, what I'm actually recording on right now is the Rode shotgun mics. And, you know, again, the more money that you're investing, the better the quality of the microphone, the more adaptable it is, and such like. And you start getting things like this, you know, shoe adapters and suspension mounts, and, you know, it starts all getting rather, or can get rather technical, but it doesn't need to, because at the end of the day, all you really need to know is how to turn it on and off. It's got a stereo jack again. You can use this with your phone, with this little device again. You know, you can use this with this particular microphone. You know, the microphones in this are better than this, for instance, and so, you know, I could plug this in and just use this as an audio recorder. And what we're doing here is we're just increasing the amount of quality that we're adding to our videos. And the better the audio quality, the better the viewing rate, etc. And the more pleasing it is to watch a video that's got good audio with it. You know, the days of poor quality video, I think, have gone now pretty much, but audio is still a real big sticking point with a lot of people's videos. That sometimes I just despair when I see somebody producing even a bad video quality on an old laptop, and the audio quality is 10 times as bad as the video quality. I'm just not going to watch it. You know, it doesn't look very professional. And so really that's where we are with that. The next bit is really going to be talking about accessories and how to tie all of this together, because of course, you know, if you've got this microphone plugged into this extension here, and then we've got that plugged into here, you know, what are we going to do with all this? Are we just going to balance it on a table, or, you know? So the next part of this video is actually talking about how we tie all this together. Right, so this part of the video, and yes, I did video this cutting my head off, but I wanted to really just focus on kind of pulling all of this equipment together. Now, I've got a lot. I do this professionally, and I do this for other people, and so I have lots of bits and pieces of equipment and such like. But this is generally what I tend to have with me for doing short videos and such like. One of the things that I would say highly recommend that you get is a fairly good quality pair of headphones, and typically with this is a Bluetooth set, but it's also got a cable with it, stereo. So the reason why I like this particular model is because it cuts out any sound, and this is actually really good for just listening to your audio, video playback and such like. If you're doing previews, you know, not only it's just for pretty much everything. But I would say, without doubt, get yourself a very good or quality piece of headphones. Another really good investment. You don't have to just use it for this, but you can use it for pretty much anything. Right, so how do we start tying all of these things together? So if we go back to this simple model, I'm going to kind of build a very simplistic setup that doesn't cost a huge amount of money. And again, you can go in, you know, scales upwards. So you can buy a small little mini tripod, you know, not a huge amount of money to invest on something like this. In very simplistic terms, let's just say we leave that out of it. If we go back to the basics, excuse me, you can buy a bracket like this. Now this is a good quality bracket, or you can buy a cheaper sort of plastic bracket, although this is actually really quite useful. The thing I like about these brackets is that it's screw clamp, it's not a pressure clamp. I don't really feel very comfortable with a clamp that doesn't hold my phone very well in you know, in a spring clamp. So, you know, this kind of technology is actually really good. You can tighten it up, you know, you don't have to do it too tight, but you can tighten it up and it's going to grip. And then on the bottom here, you've got a little screw, which is a standardized screw head for fixing onto a little tripod. And once that's fixed on there, hey presto, you've now got you know, a fixed, you know, something that's fixed. Now, as you can see, this is set up to go this way round. This bracket it's got a swivel on there, so it's got sort of a 360-degree swivel, which, you know, you can actually swivel the whole phone around, you know, that's applicable. So again, it's got a socket, you know, a little socket on the female socket on the bottom. You can screw that on, you clamp your phone in, and your phone then can go vertical or horizontal. But this particular bracket here, which I really like, made out of aluminium, is very sturdy and can be used. So, you know, this, why would you want to use a tripod? Well, it stops your phone from falling over. it looks a lot more professional. It keeps your equipment level, and it allows you to add things like the thing I like about this particular model is that it's got a fixing on the top that allows me to put the microphone, my external microphone, in there, and then of course I've got my special little adapter that we spoke about earlier, and we can plug that in there, and then we can plug this into the, and there we go. So we've now got a setup whereby we've got, you know, a better quality microphone plugged straight into our camera, our phone here, and you know, we've now got kind of, you know, actually a really quite useful, sturdy piece of equipment now for doing quality, much more better quality videos. And of course I keep turning the screen around, we should be using it that way around. Okay, so you would take the microphone and plug it the other way. Okay, and then of course, you know, you're using this camera and you're using the microphone that way around. So hopefully that looks good, and you know, this setup here is going to be just in itself is going to be improving things. Now you can expand on this slightly more by getting, now this is my sort of selfie stick that I use for doing you know, vlogging and such like, and the beauty I like about this is that it's extendable, it's a lot more sturdier than a normal stick, you know, a selfie stick, plus the fact it's also got a ball head, what you call a ball head on there, which allows me to angle the camera around in a whole lots of different varying degrees. This will come off and I can attach that onto this little mini tripod thing here. I can also screw this onto the top of this little tiny mini tripod. Let's just put that down. So I can extend my little mini tripod even further, especially if I'm going to go outside. This has got extendable legs on it as well. So you can see, you know, you can actually get really quite small amounts of equipment that's not going to cost really a huge amount of money, but it will vastly improve the quality of your video production, you know. So that in itself, you've just jumped quite high, and you're then going to start producing much more better quality audio and video production by just having this little bit of equipment here. You've now got a very versatile you know, bit of equipment. So going back to our recording, okay, you know, again, you know, if your setup is that, there you go, that's another setup there. So you've got the clamp, the little mini tripod, the extender, you've got an external audio recorder, which you can get a little bracket for again to fix on the top of here. Again, you know, we're just chopping and changing what the options are that we've got here, depending on your budget and depending on your requirements. You know, and again, we could then start throwing in this, you know, if you really want to step up your game in your audio recording. And the same would kind of apply if we go, now, if we get rid of the phone and obviously the phone holder here, if we then start going into the realms of using a camera like this, these type of cameras, and nearly all cameras, have got the same fitting on the bottom that fits this thread here and this thread on here. So all we're really doing is just chopping and changing things around. So you know, you'll be fixing your camera on here. The beauty, as I say, with a ball head is that you can move the camera around and angle it down, and you know, such like I've got this angled so that anything I put on here for my selfie videos and vlogging, you know, is that I know that the camera's pointing to myself. When we start moving up to this kind of camera, you'll then, you know, unless it's got a what they call a hot shoe mount on there, you can't really start adding microphones like this, which kind of raises a little bit of a problem, or a microphone like this, you know, if you've got an audio recorder and such like. So how do you start mounting that on there? Well, there are a couple of little options. You can get something like this, which is the old style kind of camera bracket that we used to use many years ago, and you can still get them, you know, they still work. This sort of angle bracket allows you to put the camera on here, so you've now got sort of a sturdy bracket to put something on. And what you're actually looking for is the addition of one of these. This is, you know, well, this is actually called a cold shoe, but it's the shoe that is used to put the microphone on like this. In the old days it was used for a flash gun, but now of course, you know, it's got the same fixings and mount as all the other things that we've got like this, for putting onto camera accessories. And as I say, you can get you know, a bracket that will screw into the back of your audio recorder and do much the same thing on there. So, you know, again, here we have very versatile, professional looking level of equipment, you know, and all we've added is just this little angle bracket. Something else we can do, I'm very aware that this is obviously going on a little bit, is to use one of these brackets. Now this sort of Y bracket thing has got one of these sliding, you know, brackets underneath, you know, hot shoe mount, and it's got 3 other fittings here. So, you know, again, we're just expanding our repertoire here. We can get a little adapter for our recorder. We can put our recorder on there, and then we can mount our microphone. You know, we can put our recorder in here if you like, plug the microphone in. This can go on top of a bracket, you know, and so on and so forth. Or because this has got a fixing underneath, you know, you might want to go and put that on your tripod, your little mini tripod, and you know, and hey presto, you've got a fitting like that. Or you could go and buy another very small tripod like this, you know, that's very adaptable and easy to use, with a little ball head. You know, again, this has got legs on it that expand and can go up quite high. You know, the options are for sort of small video production are actually really available, and you can get things like these little movable arms, these little sort of universal arms where you've got like a little clamp on there. You've got a little clamp that you can clamp onto a, you know, something else, a leg of a tripod, or, you know, and again, you've got adapters for all sorts of fittings and such like. You know, all of this is pretty bog standard stuff. As in, you know, all the screw mounts and the holes and the fittings are all pretty much the same, and it allows you to be actually really adaptable. So I think I've pretty much covered everything in this particular section, and yeah, we'll move on to the end roundup. Well, there we are. I've got ahead again. So seriously, the options that we've gone through really in this video, and I know it's obviously been a little bit long-winded, but I do hope that it's given you some idea about the available options for you when doing video with a mobile device like a phone, with a small video camera, with, you know, moving up to an audio recorder, or using sort of semi-professional microphones, lavalier microphone, you know, a more professional microphone, that tying it all together and bringing it to your video production will vastly, trust me, will vastly improve your video production, and especially with better audio, your audience will love you for it. You will get increased views, I know, because the production will sound better, and it will, you know, look better, because you're going to start using the camera on the back of your phone, aren't you? Because now that you know, the camera on the back of your phone is actually much better than the front of your phone. So anyway, I'm going to round this up. Thank you very much for watching this video so far, and I wish you all the best in your future video production, and I hope you found this useful. See you again soon. Bye now.